Today we're looking at the fuel scarcity and the upcoming elections and the role the National Association of Road Transport Owners plays in these two areas. Imagine if a road transport owner who is charged with moving election materials before and after the elections has a political affiliation. The INEC chairman gave a stern warning to these transport owners on their upcoming national assignment, and my guest says they're taking this charge very seriously. Meanwhile, we look at this fluctuating fuel scarcity in Abuja and indeed across the country. Road transport owners say they have nothing to do with this situation. And as usual, we give a rundown of major stories from Nigeria's presidency. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Megwa. Let's begin with an update of the major stories from Nigeria's presidency.
The federal government has disclosed that it will no longer permit strikes by aviation workers around the airport because not only does aviation offer essential services, it is prohibited by law. In a chat with State House correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting, presided over by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, the Minister of Aviation, Mr. Hadi Sirika, stated that the Civil Aviation Act 2022, which prohibits such action, has been assented to by President Buhari, mandating the strict prohibition by law and passed by the National Assembly.
Aviation is an essential service. The act has been assented by Mr. President. So strikes and riots around our airports are prohibited by law of the land. And now that we have the act in place, assented by Mr. President, passed by the National Assembly, we will deal with it according to the law. We'll ensure that no essential service is being disrupted by anybody, no matter how aggrieved. There are other channels of channeling issues when they arise, but they are not permitted to hold strike because aviation is an essential service.
The Federal Executive Council has approved the National Child Online Protection Policy and Strategy. Briefing State House correspondents after the council meeting, presided over by Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo, the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Mr. Isa Pantami, disclosed that the policy is essentially designed to protect children from unsolicited content online.
Today, without any soliciting, if you go online, you will discover that many things are coming into your device unsolicitedly. And if you are at least matured, you will be able to avoid, but children could not be able to. It is because of this that the International Telecommunication Union, which is an arm of the United Nations, came up with a policy document for all its member countries, 193, and Nigeria is part and parcel of the International Telecommunication Union. The document has been titled Keeping Children Safe in the Digital Environment, the Importance of Protection and Empowerment.
The Minister of Interior, Mr. Rauf Aregbesola, has warned criminals to desist from attempts to break into any jail in the country. Speaking at the 64th Ministerial Press Briefing at the State House, the minister disclosed that there have been recent attempts, but many of them were repelled, and such individuals were killed. He further underlined that with the captured biometrics, as well as the state-of-the-art recreational facilities erected in the 6 geopolitical zones, the criminals have fewer chances of successfully breaking into any facility. The police and Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, are planning to put together a joint effort to counter any attempt at vote buying during the 2023 general election. The Inspector General of Police, Mr. Usman Al-Karibaba, made the revelation during a media briefing at the force headquarters in Abuja. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has insisted that there is no going back on the January 31st deadline for the collection of old Naira notes, insisting that they would cease to be legal tender in the country. The CBN Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, reiterated the Apex Bank's stance after the Monetary Policy Committee meeting in Abuja. Mr. Emefiele also insisted that enough time had been given to Nigerians to swap their old Naira notes for new ones, with bank agents working around the clock in hard-to-reach communities to enforce order. As part of his decision at the Monetary Policy Committee meeting, The lending rate saw a raise to 17.5%, with other parameters left unchanged. The National Assembly is asking the central bank to extend the deadline for the expiration of the old Naira notes by 6 months. Federal lawmakers also lament the hardship the policy is causing Nigerians, as they say there are long queues at banks across the country as people try to deposit their old notes and get new ones. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the complaints by the banks of shortage of new notes. The Senate has suspended plenary for political campaigns without taking a decision on President Buhari's request to restructure 22.7 trillion naira ways and means advances. The upper chamber was expected to examine a report from its ad hoc committee initiated to meet with the Central Bank of Nigeria and Ministry of Finance to get details of what the 22.7 trillion naira was spent on. However, the committee has not submitted its report to the upper chamber as planned.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited is assuring residents of the nation's capital and its environs that this current fuel scarcity would disappear in a few days. The Executive Vice President in charge of downstream at the NNPC Limited, Mr. Adeyemi Adetunji, attributed the scarcity to an accident on the Bida-Agay Road involving trucks conveying petroleum products. So the company is already addressing the issue and said the scarcity will be resolved over the weekend. It is the weekend. I stayed on the fuel queue yesterday for 2 hours at the NNPC filling station. And after almost being killed by rough taxi drivers, I bought at 194 naira per litre. Meanwhile, the National Association of Road Transport Owners are promising that they will be neutral in the discharge of their duties at their recently held annual general meeting, a situation that has many Nigerians worried about the fair conduct of the elections. Please watch this.
The joint leadership team from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, and the Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners are visiting the NNPC depot in Suleja, Niger State. The Suleja depot is majorly used to supply petroleum products for most of northern Nigeria, including the nation's capital. However, the facility is low on supply following a road accident on one of the major routes to the depot.
One of the things we are trying to do is to see how to improve in terms of the trucks that are coming into Suleja depot and also other parts of northern Nigeria. There was an accident along the Bida-Agay Road, but that is being cleared, and the trucks have started to move slowly again, past that the incident location or spot. So the arrivals into Suleja should improve from tomorrow and also other parts of the country. And with that, the small tightness we are witnessing in Abuja, should clear instantly. Now recall that the NNPC tax-funded road, tax credit-funded road, is proceeding along the Bida-Lambata-Agay Road. Is about 160 kilometers of road. We've now about 62 kilometers, as of date, and with the completion of that road, the level of incidents, will reduce drastically, and there'll be much freer flow, of traffic and of trucks, into Suleja and the other parts of Nigeria.
The authority has also directed that depots that can operate within 24 hours should keep their gantries and loading arms flowing with petrol. The priority will always be safety, safety, safety. And if we are sure that within a depot we have that kind of safety assurance, there will be loadouts. Today from Suleja, about 121 trucks were discharged today to the retail outlets within the FCT and environs.
While the relevant authorities are planning to increase supply to the depot, the Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners is planning to ensure the products get to their destination in good time to relieve the pressure. The House of Representatives is urging the NNPC Limited to urgently ease off these queues in petrol stations. The House is also urging the relevant security agencies to fish out oil marketers and other economic saboteurs that may be responsible for the fuel scarcity across the country. These resolutions were reached following a motion of urgent public importance by Honorable Leke Abejide, drawing attention to the lingering fuel crisis across the country. The House has further mandated the relevant House committees to investigate the matter within 48 hours and report to the House, while the regulatory authority is to meet with the leadership of the House. Meanwhile, the fuel queues bite hard and residents of the nation's capital are feeling the pinch.
If I tell you how many hours it takes me to buy fuel today, it will surprise you. Okay, assuming I'm working for somebody in the office, would they allow me to go around looking for fuel? It's so bad, so bad.
We've been on the line, and unfortunately for us, people are going in from the exit gate to buy fuel, paying 1,000 naira to buy fuel. We've been here since morning. People are suffering. Nigeria needs to be rescued.
It's easing out. It's easing out. It was really difficult, but things are getting better.
I've been to the mega station at Wuse Zone 1, trying to get fuel in the early morning of this hour, but we couldn't because of the long queue. The queue was so drastic that, we make up our mind to come down here for the fuel. And up till now, since morning, we've been here and nothing.
It's the 23rd annual general meeting of the Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners, NARTO. Dignitaries at the event include the Minister of Works and Housing, as well as heads of some government agencies. The association plays a critical role in providing logistics for the Independent National Electoral Commission during the 2023 general election, and this meeting is key in that regard. Some of the challenges faced by NARTO members, such as the deplorable state of roads, multiple taxation, and harassment of truck drivers on the highway, are addressed by the Minister of Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola.
We know that if we play our role, your businesses will thrive and you will employ people. And this government has committed, by investing in infrastructure, to ensure that you reap the maximum possible benefit for your investments in truck ownership and truck operation. So we want you to self-enforce the weight regulations and axle regulations. We have shared this with you on several forums. The President is determined to enforce this from loading points. But one of the things we hear is that when they enforce at the loading points, especially for PMS, once your drivers get out, they transship again. They are not helping you because it will translate to maintenance costs for you later. As the roads give way under very extreme axle load pressure, it is a danger to your business. So as businessmen, you must stand up now in your own self-interest.
NARTO is a key stakeholder for the oil and gas industry, and particularly the downstream sector. All activities at NNPC Limited, NARTO is involved. We continue to engage on a daily, I will even say on a per second basis, with NARTO executives and members. We know that the success of the downstream industry, and indeed the entire oil and gas industry, NARTO is a key player, to realize those objectives.
NARTO is to be reminded that the MOU with the Commission requires participating members of the Union to abide with the INEC oath and affirmation of neutrality and the INEC Code of Conduct for electoral officials. The NARTO and other unions also have responsibility under the MOU to ensure the road and seaworthiness of all vehicles deployed for the general election. The Commission, on its part, will use technology to track the movement of all vehicles to protect the movement of election officials and materials.
NARTO and INEC signed an agreement in December for logistics support during the forthcoming general elections. The electoral umpire says it needs over 100,000 vehicles and 4,200 boats for the elections.
My guest on the program is the National President of the Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners, Mr. Yusuf Othman. And he again reassures all Nigerians of the neutrality of his members as they play their part in the upcoming elections. He explains why there is a fluctuation in fuel scarcity across the country and promises that his organization is not in any way the cause of Nigeria's fuel scarcity. Please watch this. Mr. Yusuf Othman, welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you.
So let's talk a bit about the trailers that carry petrol, because that is one of the issues that we're having. Many people have blamed the scarcity on a lot of the members of your organization. Some people say, oh, we have members of road transport owners who their tanker drivers are diverting products. Many people have questions about the fact that many of these trailers do not have tracking devices. There's also questions about bunkering. Talk to us a bit about some of these challenges and how you're handling them.
The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Agency, has a device that is fitted into each vehicle. So much so that if you load in Lagos and designated to discharge in Abuja, you are compelled to bring that vehicle to Abuja before you are eventually reimbursed. So it will be very difficult to divert a truck that is loaded for a particular place and designated to another place, without taking it there. However, let me remind you, as far as we are concerned, we are not the owners of the vehicle on the truck. We are just transporting. So naturally, it is the owner of the truck that will determine where the truck will go. So the blame is not ours, if any.
What would you say is the reason why we've been playing with this game? We've been dancing around this fuel scarcity since last year. It's almost bi-weekly. There'll be fuel this week, and then there won't be fuel next week. And then they say, oh, look, we're going to sort it out. We're giving you 48 hours to sort it out. And then there'll be fuel in 48 hours. And then 3 days after, it's gone. What's actually going on, especially here in Abuja?
Yeah, it will interest you to know that the fuel scarcity actually started when the Ukraine-Russian war started. As of today, Nigeria, we don't produce petroleum products. We import petroleum products. All the refineries are not working, meaning that we have to import this petroleum product in the market, international market. So because there is a production gap due to the war, other people like us also will have to scramble in the same market. And in the course of that scramble, it's a bidding process. The people that are supplying to us, they have preference. And there are a lot of factors for that preference. When you come to the Nigerian shores also, the owners of the vessels recently jack up their prices. From the mother to the daughter, they hire the vessel, they jack up their rates for hiring the daughter that will eventually take to the tank farms. And that is also paid in dollars. Now, if you observe in the last few months or so, dollar has gone up. So when you add them all up, they brought us to where we are. Now, the transporters, as far as we are concerned, government has made a very bold move, and we're really very happy. That 10 naira they increase into the transportation really help us. So we don't have much issue. But also the issue we have is related also to the high cost of dollar, which affects also the tires, our consumables, So that is it. Look at also the fact that in the last, I was at a scene around Bida Agaye Road, where there's a major artery for our supply. Some trucks had an accident, and it's one of the reasons. I personally was there at the scene, and I look at and some of the vehicles were cleared before the truck started moving. And of course, there are a lot of other issues which are not in my purview, but I'm just telling you what I know. But let me tell you, if people who don't appreciate what the NNPC is doing, I want to tell you that the effort they are making to ensure fuel goes to the station and from stations to owners is enormous. They are not relenting.
So let's talk a bit about the elections, because that's another area that you're going to be focused on at least in the next 2 months.
Yeah.
going to be a very busy few months for you taking electoral materials for INEC. You've had meetings with INEC recently with charges from the INEC chairman. Let's talk a bit about some of those issues. One of them is security of your workers.
Yeah.
I remember in 2019 there were some attacks on people who were doing work for you, and it was very tragic. Yeah. I think that was actually sorted out. There was compensation. There was compensation given after that. Let's talk about these elections. How is this going to be different? How are you going to ensure the security of your workers?
Well, we have been given necessary assurance that we require to ensure that we deploy all the necessary sensitive and non-sensitive material to the designated registration areas and polling units. You know, it is a national assignment. As much as we take it part of the business that we normally do, but we give it desired attention as a national assignment.
One other thing that the INEC chairman talked about was, training for your staff, just so they can understand that this is a national assignment, like you said. There have been worries out there that it's possible that some of your workers may be partisan and may want to divert election materials or sabotage an election in a particular place by not providing the materials on time or having issues with taking them back. Is there an actual training for your workers so that they can understand that this is a national thing and it's not about their personal preferences when the election comes around?
Yeah, we've had some training interface with our members. I have had interface with our NEC members and the state chairman. You see, yes, there are some people who have particular interest in a party, but they are not going to be involved in any of our operations. This is a national assignment, like I said, and we are at the level of states meet with the REC and the EOs, and we are going to work with them to ensure the delivery. So it's not possible for our member to compromise because we're going to work with the EOs to ensure neutrality. We have sworn oath of neutrality.
There are many of your members who have political affiliations. Many of your members are very popular, and they do have particular political affiliations, and that has raised worry among the Nigerian people.
If you have political affiliation, you will not be involved in the operations. Certainly. I don't have any political affiliation, and I am neutral, and by grace of God, anybody that we deploy into the operations must be neutral, and he must deliver. Like I said, this is a matter more or less of life and death. As far as we are taking it, it's a national assignment. I will not take any levity. Anybody that messes up will mess him up. That is the truth.
All right, well, you have quite a lot of work ahead of you, but I want to thank you so much for being with us on Dateline Abuja. And good luck with the work that you do.
It's my pleasure.
Thanks to my guest and to everyone who spoke to us today on the program. If you're anything like me, you're probably very tired of this fuel scarcity and terrified of black market fuel. 6 trillion naira is in the 2023 budget for fuel subsidy till June, when the PIA component covering fuel subsidies is implemented, hopefully. So chances are that we might continue this fuel scarcity dance till the middle of the year, when we might finally have a free market and ultimately know how much we can buy petrol at the petrol stations. Meanwhile, it is crucial that all those involved in the 2023 general elections are neutral and fair. It is a national assignment that must be carried out with its importance in their minds. Right now, all we can do is pray alongside the agencies that ensure our elections are transparent. That's Dateline Abuja this week. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kayla Megwa.